Powered by Virginia Radio.
Hi, everyone. It's Tina from Guidance to Grace Uncut. I have a very special guest today, Miss Rowe.
Hey, Tina.
Hi. Miss Rowe is a really great mentor for me. I met Miss Rowe about 7 years ago.
Yeah,
About
that
seven
long.
years ago, at work, and we have some awesome
Oh,
conversations.
yeah.
Today conversation, our topic is going to be about domestic violence. Pretty much just going into the vibe of the situation. I don't say that I am a victim. I do say I am a survivor. If you have any questions, hit us up at 757-964-9367. Miss Rowe also has a movement herself for vitiligo.
Yes.
I have on my support bracelet.
Yes. The
For y'all
Virginia
to see it.
Vitiligo Awareness Movement.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about yourself and vitiligo.
Okay, my name is Rochelle Yarborough. I have a support group right here in Hampton, the Virginia Vitiligo Awareness Movement. And what we're trying to do is just bring some awareness to vitiligo and to, get people to understand that, it is a disease. It's not contagious. We've had a lot of people in our vitiligo community that, not just kids, but are being bullied and, then being abused, and also thinking about suicide and things like that, because it's just hard to, go out in the public and you look different from everybody. So you just gotta, be able to deal with all that. So it's a difficult thing, but I just want to let people know, if you have vitiligo and you are having a hard time and struggling with it, there is somebody that will be able to help you with that. And you can still, if you want to call in and ask about that, you can still hit us up at 757-964-9367. So we're going to get back to Tina because I have some questions about this.
Yes. So, I am a survivor of domestic violence. I have been working through my process and trying to grow and transform through it for about 3 years now. Is actually when I decided to make a move and to leave to end it for myself and for my children. Um, it was tough. It was really hard. It was a hard situation with trying to get out of. I did go through it for a total of 11 years. So it not only messed with me mentally, but like spiritually. It affected me, the physical violence of it, the mental violence of it, um, everything that impacted me in reference to going through the situation that I went through with the violent situation. It didn't only affect me, but it also affected my children.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you made it through, though. I mean, I hear you talking about it through the years that we were together, and I'm just amazed at how you managed to get through it. And it's hard for people, that are in it. I just didn't realize that much about it until you shared your story with me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I walked into it blindly. When we talk about red flags and people that are guiding us to get through it, we don't listen, which we already know I'm the type of person that I don't listen. So, so when people was trying to uplift me and guide me through it, even the people that was showing me tough love through it, trying to tell me, it was something that I needed to get myself out of. I wasn't thinking on the type of level of protecting my children from it or it affecting my children. I only thought about it as it affecting me.
So, I mean, how old were you? Or, I mean, people are thinking maybe you were a little child, or, I mean, you didn't see that might have been a problem, or?
Actually, the signs of it as being younger, yes. I should have recognized it because I did go through it as a younger child. But I think it put me in a comfort space of it because I went through it as a child. So that's something that I was used to. Right.
Okay. Wow. So, I mean, how was that with, with relationships, or how do you do with that?
It was difficult. It was difficult with relationships, especially because this last relationship that I just left with my children's father was my first, I would say was my first actual domestic violence situation, being in a relationship with a guy. I didn't experience that before him. I experienced some abuse, but it wasn't physically.
Okay.
It
So it was like verbal.
it was more verbal. Yeah, it was more verbal abuse. When I got into the relationship with my kid's dad, it became physical and verbal. Right. 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 And I mean,
Wow.
the signs of it we really don't pay attention to, and I would say that I was with a narcissist.
Okay.
And I didn't learn about a narcissist until I believe 4 years ago. I didn't know what a narcissist was.
I mean, because when we worked together, I mean, you would never know that this was going on.
Right.
You know, you came to work, you were put together,
Right.
you had your hair right, you smiled and you were so friendly. You just would have never known that you were
That I
masking
was
this.
going through it. Right.
Wow.
And yeah, and that's a lot of people that go through domestic violence do that. They cover it up so that people don't see it. So you can't notice it. You don't see the signs of what they're going through at the time. You don't see that trauma, because for me, I don't know about others, but for me, when I came to work, y'all were my safe space.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's how it felt. And that's how I looked at it, especially around y'all. Y'all brought me that comfort that I was
Okay.
actually looking for and needed. So it was like I was just taken out of that place and I wasn't there for the moment. And I enjoyed that, of being there with you guys, and not going through it for the time that I didn't have to. And then when it was time to go home, it was like, bye everybody,
Yeah.
and then you get in your car and that's when you realize, I don't want to go home.
Wow.
Right. And that's when you would sit and be like, I don't want to go walk through this door, but I have to.
I don't know. I'm not. I've never been in this situation
Right.
that you've been in. I've heard stories, and I mean, this is firsthand with you and I. This is the first time I've ever had firsthand, and I just think, well, what about the kids? Or, I mean, you have daughters, so
Right.
what's going on? Or how did you get help?
You introduced me to church. You introduced me to Liberty.
Okay.
I mean, I've always been into church. As I stated before, I grew up church. My grandmother covered me. She always made sure that I was in church every Sunday, Wednesday, Monday. Anytime that we could be sitting in there, we was in church.
Yeah.
And when I was going through my situation of the violence, at the point of time of me meeting you, it was physical, but I felt like we grew from there, because I didn't think that it was gonna ever happen again. Like, I had maybe didn't go through anything domestic for 3 or 4 years before that.
When you told me you had kids, and I mean, that's my ministry. I love ministering with kids and 7-year-olds. I love 7-year-olds. And by the time your daughter was either 7 or 8 or something.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so I said, well, you ought to bring her out there. And then you
Right.
guys just came,
And we came. Yep.
and y'all just seemed like, you guys had it together. You just never knew all that stuff was going on.
Yeah.
I'd have never known.
And it's you can have an appearance on the outside that look different than the inside. You know how they say some people can carry a situation on. You never know what a person is feeling on the inside if they look great on the outside.
Yeah. I mean, did you have like any? Because I mean, our friendship just started, but did you have like any other very close girlfriends that that might have tried to?
That
take
new,
help?
yeah. That tough, yeah, he's not for you. You can look at him and tell, but in my eyes, it wasn't like that. It was nobody actually know. It was like he was my best friend. I'm gonna put it like that, right? Like, I went through so much, even though I did have females that were in my life at the time. It's just every time I turned around, he was there,
right,
and not my friends. But I also realize now that I'm older and I'm out of it. it was not for him to be there like that. It was for him to push people away from me.
Oh, okay.
So that he was the only person there.
Right.
Right.
To keep you isolated.
Right. Basically.
Yeah.
And then when we were introduced to Liberty, and I introduced the kids to Liberty, it was, I don't know, it was a whole different experience.
He even came to church with
right,
you.
yeah.
And he looked like he was having a good time.
Right.
Like something,
And
wow.
And you know, that's where it comes, I think, with the spiritual situation of it, when you do ask for God to come and clean your life up.
Yeah.
And he start breaking it down for you to clean it up so that transformation starts to begin. And when that transformation begins, it brings out the good, the bad, the ugly. Yeah.
I still remember that day, you know, coming out over by the kids' side, and it was just you and him and the kids, and you guys look like, you know, and I said, did you have a good time? And yeah, it was nice, and you know, learned something. I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And then when you shared me that, I was like, maybe you might be missing something. You know,
Right.
maybe I'm thinking maybe you're missing something, but you're living in it, so you know.
Right.
So I just trust God, and I continue to pray for you, and and him, that you know he'd find his way, because that's not what you're supposed to do.
Right. And yeah,
Wow.
and I've when I woke up out of it, it was so different because I started paying attention to that's not okay. You know, being called a whore or being called a bitch in front of my children.
Right.
You know, or being choked in front of the kids. That actually woke me up. That's what made me leave, because I had to put myself in a place where I don't want my son to grow up and think that that's okay.
Yeah.
And
I
I
appreciate
had
that.
right, and I had to tell him that, and I had to sit my son and my daughters down to say it is not okay
Right.
for you as a male to put your hands on a female.
Right.
They are not in your life for you to be beat on, you know, them to be beat on. They're in your life for a blessing.
Right.
And I had to tell the girls, you don't allow a man to put his hands on you. You're in his life as a blessing as well as he is in your life as one.
So how does that go through their head? They're kids, so they're like, okay, you're telling me this, but I'm looking at
seeing this.
Yes.
Right. And that's when I decided I have to leave.
Yeah. Wow.
And the process it was ugly, and it still is. I mean, it's still ugly, and it may get worse. I pray that it doesn't.
Yeah.
But just from how the situation is going right now, I believe it is, you know, it's going to get a little worse, which storms get worse before they get better.
Yeah. But they do pass.
Right, and they pass.
But they do pass. The seasons. We go through different seasons. So this is a season. It's going to pass. I mean, you're still trusting God. You're still believing. I mean, you're still human.
Right.
We're still making mistakes, and
Right.
maybe not making right choices. And we tell our kids, you know, doing the best I can. You
Right.
know, I thought it was a good idea at that time, but maybe it wasn't the best idea to do that or to keep you
Right.
guys here. So
Right. And I think my kids were very young. My first two, they were very young when they first seen it. But then when I seen them hit a certain age, and it, you know, they were about, let me see, Naya had to be about 10. So about 9 and 10 is when they had viewed it again.
okay.
And when I see Anaya view it at that time, she's a very intelligent child.
Okay,
Like,
yeah,
she's
yeah.
so intelligent.
Uh-huh.
And she came to me and said, "Mommy, why are you putting up with it?"
At 10.
Right,
At
at 10.
10.
At 10. And she was
Oh,
like,
oh, goodness.
"Mommy, why are you going through that? You deserve better." And I'm just like, "Okay, Lord, is that you talking to me
Okay.
through my child?" Like, you know,
Yes, you will. Yeah,
And
through the mouths of babes.
Right. And I'm like, wow. And she's so young, but I'm just like,
Wow.
if she recognized it
Yeah, she recognized that.
right at that time, like that, like, then I feel like at that time, she was going to feel like this is something that's okay because my mom's sitting here putting up with it. So when I get older, it's going to be okay for a guy to put his hands on me. It's going to be okay for a guy to verbally abuse me.
Well, I mean, I've asked you a lot, you know, how the kids feel and stuff, and I get it. I mean, you do that. I mean, we're moms. I'm a mom too.
Right.
But then in those quiet times when it's just you, and your head. I mean, everybody has a vice or whatever it is they want to do, or how, you know, just how do you just I mean, how do you cope each day? How do you get up? How do you get I mean, I know God gives you strength, but you have to be able to get up and to be able to move and get them ready for school, and you still have to.
To be honest, I couldn't. I went through a depression stage. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to, clothe myself. I didn't want to do a lot of things. I didn't want to feed myself. But with my kids running in there, like they gave me a different type of strength, and I guess God, that's how God used them to get me moving.
Yeah.
So when I seen them and I seen I don't want to eat, and I'm saying I don't want to eat, and I don't want to get out the bed, and I'm just crying all day, then I look at them and they're like, "Mommy, we gotta eat, Mommy." They're not really looking at me shedding tears. They see it, but they don't know. They don't know what it is. They don't know what I'm going through. So they're just like, "Mommy, we're hungry. Mommy, let's do this. Mommy, let's go outside.
They're
Mommy."
such good kids. They're so tender-hearted. They're just very kind children.
Yeah.
Just with me spending time with them, or if I say something about that, or I even ask them about the vitiligo, and then I went to Royce's school, and we read to the students and stuff, and she's like, "It's okay." It's like, wow, wish everybody was like that, But then I guess when them looking at you, I mean, you're mom,
Right.
and it's they're just gonna help you. We're gonna eat. We're gonna go cook, and I know who's the chef. Somebody cooks.
Mari cooks.
We're gonna cook because he likes to eat.
Yes, Mari would throw down. Mari would go in the kitchen and make him a top ramen with eggs, and he loves Naruto, so he'll go whip up some noodles and eat it with his chopsticks. And
You're gonna eat something. You will eat. You will eat.
And he will feed. Yes, and he will feed me, and it's just like wow, like
that is. I mean, and you guys are, board game players. You guys you do a lot of family things. And I mean, I didn't know when he was around, did the ex, did he participate in these games and stuff?
He did. And I guess that's what threw me off with it was like I'm doing a list of what he does, his good and his bad.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, he participates in things. He was very active. Never didn't hurt his children. Wow. He participated, in games and activities and stuff with the kids at times. And then there were times that he wouldn't.
Okay.
And so I think I started trying to diagnose him like I was diagnosing myself and just be like, okay, he's suffering from depression.
Okay.
Right? And I'm thinking he has those days where he's just depressed. So it was just it was weird. It was really different because he would have those days where he was just this loving.
Yeah.
Like when I say loving and charming, like men can really.
Oh yeah, yeah. They know how to.
I mean, cook for me in bed, make sure the house is straight and clean, the kids are nice and good. Yes.
What every woman would like to see.
Exactly.
I mean? Yeah.
And then we would just have those days. And it didn't come so often. It came maybe 3 times, I would say 3 to 4 times out a year. And I just looked at it as, okay, he's going to change. And I don't know why I was in the mindset at that time that, like, I could change him.
You thought you could change him.
And I thought I could change him. And I was like, maybe for us, and one day he would just wake up and just see, wow, I am a blessed man because of my family. I have a beautiful
But do you
girl,
think that
is
that something that you think, I mean, is that hereditary? Is that in his family? Do you know that?
No, I don't know that. I mean, now, honestly, I don't. I do know that he had a hard childhood as well. And, and the way that he was raised, I could tell that, he was in a environment where you didn't want to raise your kids in.
Right.
But I also knew that he had to grow through that, and in some cases, a lot of people grow to a higher level of, a better place and say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be like my dad.
But he never got to that.
No. He would say it, but his actions would still show differently. But he would say, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be like this. I'm going to change. I'm going to do different. And he would just, he's just speaking it, but it never came into existence. His actions never showed it.
But you like you read, you write, and with book, you just had to dump into something to be able to. That's somebody tell me when you're going through that type of depression. I'm not going through anything like that, but it's best to kind of write things out. Did you find that helped?
I did. It was very therapeutic for me, writing everything out. I did have to go see a therapist because I knew it was affecting me.
Okay. Mental health is health.
Yes.
It is health like your physical health.
Right.
Yeah, you got to take care of your mental.
So I did go to therapy. And when I started therapy, and talking to a pastor and them directing me and telling me, write about it. When if you can't go and you don't feel comfortable with speaking to people, write it out. And he was like, watch how it changes things. And that's actually what I started to do. But when I started writing, I could tell it was getting worse.
Really?
Yes. I started writing while I was in a relationship.
It was getting worse while you were writing?
While I was writing in a relationship. And I think that was God actually showing me. So let me tell you how I seen it.
Okay.
Let me show how I felt it was. God was saying, are you're a child of mine. Right. And I felt like we were working. I had my career.
You did?
Like, yep, I was good. I was fine.
Yeah.
I had my family. We had our home. We were good, bills were paid, car were paid, we had our car, everything. We were good. But I think when I opened that question up to God, like, okay, what's the next steps? Where do we move now? How am I, what's next? Are we going to get married or, how are we about to build? Right. Yeah. So how are we about to build from here? Because, as I say, when you start a family, when you have a home, it is the foundation of it.
Oh, yeah.
That builds it and keeps it together. And I think when I asked those questions, it was actually opening my relationship to God.
Okay.
And then I think God just pulled me back to say, okay, you are a child of mine. You believe in me. Yes. You have high faith in me. You believe in my son, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at your partner.
Uh-oh.
Because, because when you become one, you are one.
Yeah.
And that's going to test your religion. That's going to test your everything. That's going to test to see how strong you guys are and be built together. Yeah. And I felt like that was God opening me up to saying, okay, now you're opening me into your whole entire relationship. Yes. But let's see where he is with me. I can't have you enter into a marriage with someone that doesn't have the belief in me like you have. Right. Like they can grow into it. You can be two people that believe in two different ways.
Oh, yeah.
And you still can grow together. But where is his belief in me?
Right.
Because you're supposed to have God, the husband, and the wife.
Right. That three
right.
chords.
Right.
Strong.
Right.
You just can't be up there wrapped around each other because that's not going to work if there's no God.
Right. And when he took me down that path to see that, it was a whole different story. I had girls knocking at my front door. I had girls calling my door, calling my phone. It was so much that I was going through. And he was like, okay, this is who you want to marry. Like, I have to show you what's hidden, what's behind the scenes, what's going on. If this is who you're saying that you marry you to. Right.
Yeah. But I didn't tell you to marry him.
Right.
I
didn't. I
probably
didn't tell me to have children.
Nobody told you to marry him. You knew he was no good. Everybody can see it, but it's like, oh, but I love him.
Right. And I'm like, I love him. No, I want to keep him. Right.
Love him. You have your eyes wide open. Something.
Okay, let him give you this black eye real quick. Do you still love him? I love him. with this black eye.
And just put some makeup on and go to work.
Right, and fix it.
And
we still go.
Wow.
But, But then when I realized my babies in the situation, it woke me up.
It
really
does
did.
something to you,
Yeah,
you know. As I mean, you know, as being a mother, it's different. I mean, I'm married. I've been married for over 20 years, and even when something happens with the kids, you get a whole new different energy. You just kind of, that real line is kind of kicks up, and you're gonna get somebody when they mess with your kids.
Right.
And even at that point, even with your husband, you still kind of like, you get a little. But I mean, this place, you know, did he ever ask you to get married? Did he ask you to get married?
He did. He did a couple times after arguments.
Why didn't you marry him?
I don't. You know what? Maybe that was my intuition that I was following, that I didn't. You know, or I wouldn't. And then, you know, I guess it was certain situations that made me, after he asked me to marry him, that made me say, nah, we not ready yet. We probably need to see a counselor first, or talk to someone first in reference to before we get married.
Yeah, I mean, but you don't know, though.
Right.
You didn't know.
I didn't know.
Wow, God, you know, God take care of us even when we just messing all up.
Right.
He just still there, just keeping you back, getting you back on track.
Right.
Good or bad. It's going to rain. I mean,
That on what you do.
that's right.
Right.
That's
right.
I mean, I'm
I
glad.
can be there regardless.
Right. Right.
Before you got in, after you leave.
Right.
You know,
Doing
I'm
his
glad.
job.
I'm just glad
Right.
other people aren't little God. You know, I personally would have held the sun from some people. You know, but God doesn't do that. He shines on the good, just, and the unjust.
Right.
Some people just want to give a thunderstorm too and let the other people. You know, He doesn't do that. He just loves us all. So
Yeah.
and He loves him too.
Right.
But, you know,
Of course.
But
And
I'm
will
just,
always.
I'm just glad you didn't marry him, because that would have been something else.
It would have been something
But it's
else.
still something now.
Right.
I just, you know, I look at you and the strength that you have, and it's just something. And if you ask me something, and I see that you're doing something, you're really doing something with the kids, I want to be in on it. I want to do something with you guys, and you know, I want to be there if there's something that I can do or my family could do or whatever that we can do to, you know, to kind of help you out. And
And you have always been. You have always been such a blessing to us. Like, for real, it was so amazing and a blessing when you came into my life, especially at the times that I was down, but you didn't know it. You know, you didn't see it, and you couldn't tell that I was in a really dark and horrible place or space. Right. But you always came around and you always lifted us, and you always, my kids love you, Miss Rowe, Miss Rowe. Like,
I didn't even know. I love them
right.
too.
So you are such a blessing in our life,
and
you are one of the reasons why I kept going.
Wow.
Yes, like all of you, like at work, just being there around that environment, because we were more than just co-workers.
Oh, yeah.
We were a family.
We go
right,
out,
and still
eat,
are, right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think, but you know, not knowing, and I mean, and even if someone would have given you, as a believer, if someone gives you even like a little hint that, you know, they're going through something, you immediately want to start praying for them. You want to start uplifting them. You just want to be there for them. But at this point, I mean, you never shared any of that with me, right. And I'm one of those people that, you know, you tell me what you want to tell me, but I'm gonna go to God, and He knows it all. So I don't have to know your whole story. You know, some people, you know, they tell you that. Well, tell me, share with me. You know, what's that thing Christians say? Just share. I can't share. Just share, sister. Just share. But then you say, okay, I've been sleeping with your husband for 10 years. Okay, now who needs prayer?
Right. Right.
So just back off of it, y'all. Stop saying the nosy saying. You don't have to know that much about people, but you know, even with our friendship, I just, you know, I didn't know that was going on, but I just, you know, prayed. I'm glad you came to church, and you know, I'm glad the kids had a good time, but. You know, and then even God knows, you know, when your prayers go up, He knows knows what you really need or what you need to be there for Him. So that's what my heart got tender. I don't know why, you know, for you, because I just love everybody, but it was just something about y'all.
Love everybody.
I just love people.
Yes. But that's the most amazing thing about you, though, because that shows your heart. That shows that you have a wonderful heart. A big heart, a loving heart. So I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you. I mean,
Thank you.
to be able to let God use you and to get up and even to speak to people about this, because this is such a personal thing, and I'm sure there may be people out there that may be, in your closet or under your cover, just watching this silently, while he's at work or he's not around. So
Right.
you're having somebody's like, gosh, they're talking about me. This is what she went through, and if you feel like you want to ask Tina something about that, just call us. We got 757-964-9367. You can ask questions. We'll take the call and ask her the questions that you want to ask her. I mean, I've asked her things that I've never asked her before, because then you're like, I never thought about that. So, but you need to know.
And I understand that it's hard, like when we are in certain situations of being verbally or physically abused, you don't know the outcome. You don't know if you do get up and leave, is that going to be your last moments of being able to walk out the door? You don't know if, oh my God, he's going to kill me.
Yeah.
If I walk out the door, or you don't know, where am I going to go if I walk out this door? This is all I have. This is all I know.
Yeah.
And I think before I left, that's my situation, was I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know if I was going to have a place to go or a shoulder to lean on or even someone to believe me, because it always happened behind closed doors. But you can keep going. You can get up. You can keep going. Even in the midst of me leaving, like I stated, it's still things that we are going, like I'm going through right now in reference to leaving. But I know there's a God, and I know Jesus Christ holds my hand every day, and
Amen.
he would continue to keep holding me and keeping me strong in my faith, to keep having hope to say, I'm going to get through this. And one day it's going to be over. That storm has passed.
Yeah.
And then you will be praising and victory. Like, yes, I made it.
You made it.
I made it. And it will happen.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you don't know the outcome of the situation because you're afraid, but that's what fear does. Fear tries to keep you stuck.
Yeah.
If you don't pick yourself up out of that and say, I'm not going to be afraid, and throw words at them, no weapon formed against me shall prosper.
No. I'm more than a conqueror.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
But what about the people that, I mean, like, what if you're telling people and they don't believe you?
Right.
I mean, I think that's a problem, that domestic violence people that are in that.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, you're telling people, but he's such a nice guy, and everybody likes him. Oh, he didn't do that, or, then.
And you
Did
hide
you ever go
it.
through that where people didn't think that he was really doing that, or
I have. I did.
And they think it was you, and that maybe you just.
Yes.
But
it was
you're not
always
quite,
me.
you're always grinning and stuff. You might not have
Right,
it all
yeah.
together, so you might be exaggerating a little bit about what he's doing, and you just want some attention or something like that.
Right. Especially
They told you that?
because, yeah. Not even just like friends, but family. People close to me that was like, well, or it'd be like, well, you knew he was like that. You chose to stick with him, or
Wow.
you chose to go through it. You know he's going to continue to do this to you, so you the one that's putting up with it. Or I don't believe he did that to you. I don't think he did. He's such a sweet guy. He would never do anything like that to you. He would never do that. But what was the kicker is an abuser is an abuser. So past relationships, he had to be an abuser. Like, it don't start with you. It started with someone else.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond you. So it'll go to the next person. And that's where I think people started believing that I was telling, because then they started hearing other stories.
Okay.
From
other people.
Right, from other people.
Saying the things about
Saying
him.
the same, yep. And you know what's so funny and so crazy? I had one of his exes always come to me and tell me, oh, he did this and he did this to me, and this was like, and I was the one that was like, no, he didn't.
She told you.
Right. And I'm like,
And you didn't
never
believe
did
it.
that to me. No, he didn't. Right.
Wow. He's
An
a
abuser
charmer.
can, yes.
Very
And they
charming.
can hide it for so long. They can hide it for years until they see that they got you. Oh, I got her now. Now I can treat her how I want to treat her because I know she's not going to leave. I have her in fear, so I know she's not going to go tell nobody.
So how are you now?
Oh, I'm open. I be open. I'm honest. I think the only thing about it is it scares me from other relationships.
Okay.
It scares me from.
But you cannot not love because of that, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and I'm starting to see it now. I'm starting to see like that's a hold that he's trying to have on me, so I can't move on, and I could miss and block my blessings.
Right.
And now that I'm realizing that and understanding that a lot better and more now, I'm not so much afraid. But I still be kind of, it's like not being afraid. It's just paying attention now to the red flags.
Okay, now, you do looking at it with your third eye.
Right,
now.
looking at it with my third eye like.
Okay, I can see it now.
That's a sign of my ex. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. Or a sign of something I don't think, you know, and some things that you don't like, you know, even I could just test it out with being married, you know. There's some things that you don't like. I mean, you try to work through. You didn't like it in 1 year. Right. You're not going to like it in 5 years. Right. You despise it in 10. Yeah. And then by the time you get to 25, it's like, look, who has time to even start this over? But you grow into that. Right. And you start to learn and you start to deal with certain things. But, you know, with abuser, you just don't, you can't grow into that. You're not growing.
Yeah, at all. It's no growth. It just, like I said, God being over top of it, and you know what God did to that foundation? He tore that tower down, and I got up out of there. The tower came crumbling down, and he said to me, basically, now, my child, that you are out of that situation, you know, is still a little ugly, but you are out of it. Yeah. So now I can start you over, and I'm going to rebuild that tower. Wow. And build it even stronger. And I felt like me coming out with my story and writing my book, that was my tower being rebuilt because I released.
What was the book? What's the name of the book?
Alina's Guidance to Grace.
And it's your story.
Yep, my story of a lot of everything that I went through.
Wow. And that must have been hard to write that.
It was very hard.
How long did it take to write that?
4 years. For the entire time that I was getting out of in it and getting out of it, 4 entire years. But when I got completely out of that situation, she was published. Yay! She was published.
Well, we can't see her. Where is she?
Yes,
Where's the book? Okay, there we go.
She ended up being published, and it's my story. Is, you know, everything. Alina is basically me, like, or me being Alina, my what you call it, alter ego. Yeah, okay. And walking through and finishing it, and the transformation of it, everything was just like, wow, I did it. I completed it, and I did that. Still in the process of still trying to be tore down and getting out of a very violent situation. And that's why I felt like if I did it, me being the goofiest, silliest person that I am.
That you are.
Anybody can do it.
You're goofy funny, but you did it. But I mean, I'm sure you probably ruffled some feathers in that book too, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's the truth.
But it's the truth. It is.
Yeah. Yeah, people don't want to hear that.
No, a lot of people don't want to hear the truth because it could relate and bring out their demons, and you know
they have to say something about it,
right? And that they would say something. But I think once you stand up for yourself, or once you stand out of it, or once you ask for help and you recognize the signs that either you're abuser or you're being abused, you start to grow, because that means you recognize it and you are in a position where you like, I want to change it. I want change. And then we also, a lot of people don't realize that karma, you know, people just say, oh, why am I going through this so bad? You know, you have a guy that end up behind bars and like, I didn't do this and I don't deserve to be here, but they never realized what they were doing. Right. We are all God's children.
Oh, yeah.
He don't want you to put your hands on, tear down, verbally, anything like that.
Yeah.
And no matter how you get that karma back, it's coming tenfold.
Oh, yeah. It's coming.
Especially if you are abusing one of God's children.
Right.
It's coming tenfold.
Wow. God is so good.
Yes.
He is
So I
really-
feel like people that do want to change and want to transform and grow, recognize those emotions and those feelings and why you feel like you're an abuser. And that's why I felt like I had to get my children out of it,
Yeah.
because I did not want them to recognize those signs as being okay.
And it's important that you find some safe space that you can talk to somebody, or that you can trust, that if you're not a believer, or I mean, everybody. I mean, I've seen people don't believe in God. Somehow they say, "Oh Lord," I was, okay, now you're calling on them.
Right. And that's what it was so funny though. That's what I said, because when I heard someone say, "No, I don't believe in Jesus Christ," but you recognize him.
You recognize them.
You just said his name.
Oh yeah, came out your mouth.
So even though you don't believe, you recognize him.
That
you
there's
you
something
like
that's a little bit higher than you that can
Right.
fix this.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I just hope that some of the people out there, that some ladies, women, men too. I guess that could be
Right.
some men
Yes,
too.
men.
That, yeah.
Yes.
And they have that, and they probably have to put up that facade that they're manly or something. But men are getting abused too. So this
Yes.
domestic abuse is just got to stop. I'm so glad I've talked with you and learned some things about it that I didn't know. I mean, we've been friends for a while, and I just didn't know these things.
Right. Yeah. And
So-
a lot of people don't know. A lot of people still don't know that was a situation that I was going through. And like, what, really? And then some people would say, they would look at us and be like, "Oh yeah, she is." And they would say, "Yeah, you are." And at the times that I did, that I was questioned and asked about it from someone that we a mutual friend that we
Yeah.
both know.
Yeah.
He just came up to me and said it, but at that time I wasn't going through it, so I didn't. I was like, no, absolutely not. Like, but that was
He
because I
knew.
wasn't in it at that time.
Right. But that doesn't mean you are not in it.
Right.
Sometimes. So,
Right.
and some people can see that. What about the people that know it? I mean, because they're in it. So I bet you probably have that spidey sense that, if you kind of come upon someone, you kind of see that same kind of disposition, the posture. It's like,
Right.
it could be the same situation, and you have to proceed cautiously. And,
Yeah.
that's why there are groups, and there, support groups that you get involved with, people that are dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with. Kids that are, kids of families of a parent that's have domestic violence. It's important that you be able to get in a safe space to be able to express your feelings. So
Right.
look at you. I'm just happy.
Yes, and we just growing. We're trying to build. This is Guidance to Grace Uncut, so you get me real and uncut.
Yeah. She
My
said it.
truth. Anyone that has questions, hit us up. All Things to Loud, powered by Virginia, has signed on with Guidance to Grace. Just hit us up. You can hit Loud up if you even want to start your own podcast. 757-964-9367.
Yeah, this is I just came along. I was just coming to visit with a friend. I didn't know this was all gonna happen, but it's okay. It's all good. It brings light to a situation that's so dark.
Right.
And then also, with my situation, I appreciate you allowing me to talk about, what I do.
Yes,
and
I'm a true
brings light to
supporter.
that.
I love it.
It brings light to the people out there in my vitiligo community, and it's just we just got to work with each other and help each other in all areas, because everybody can do something. You can do something to help somebody.
Yes, that is true. That is so
Yeah.
true. Well, thank you, Ms. Rowe, for coming on Guidance to Grace
Thank you,
Uncut.
Tina.
You're very welcome.
I enjoyed it. You guys, just show the book. Get the book. Where can you get this book?
You can contact me on ChristinaCarey32@gmail.com. I do apologize, everyone. I'm not on Amazon as yet. Been having some issues, but we should be up there shortly. Also on Kindle. I will let you guys know once I am up and running on Amazon and Kindle. But till then, just hit me up at ChristinaCarey32@gmail.com.
Okay.
And thank you guys for tuning in to Guidance to Grace Uncut. Till next time, everyone, we powered by Virginia.
Hold on, let her plug that one thing she has going on one more time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and thank you guys for listening, and Tina, thank you for allowing me to speak about the Virginia Vitiligo Awareness Movement. I'm on Facebook. Go out there, join. Let's talk about it. We're going to be doing some things in the community, so just look out. We're going to be doing some great things around here to support and to encourage everyone about vitiligo.
How can they find you?
Virginia Vitiligo Awareness Movement. My name is Rochelle Yarborough. It's right over there on Virginia Vitiligo Awareness Movement.
That's what, a website?
It's on Facebook. Facebook page.
Okay.
All righty. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Powered by Virginia Radio.